In order for us to build an artificial forest and for the process of artificial photosynthesis to be a success, a source of carbon dioxide is needed, and capturing CO2 from the air is the best choice at hand due to its abundance in the atmosphere. The most suitable and efficient method for capturing CO2 from the air would be adsorption. So what is adsorption? Adsorption is the adhesion of molecules from a gas or liquid to a solid surface. This is due to the molecules' unbalanced forces that cause them to have a residual surface energy, causing them to stick to the solid surface. The adhesion solely depends on the attraction between the unbalanced forces and the chosen solid surface. You can think of adsorption as having a magnet that pulls whatever substance you want from the air or whichever liquid or gas it's contained in. So, in our case, we want to create a magnet that pulls CO2 out of the air. Our ideal situation would be to have a device that has a solid surface with a high affinity for CO2 in order to attract it from the air and adhere it to the surface without any actual reaction taking place, and also having the ability to detach the CO2 easily and store it for later uses. A researcher from MIT developed a battery that uses the method of adsorption to capture CO2. The battery is made up of multiple layers of electrochemical plates consisting of electrodes that are coated with polyanthraquinone CNT, a carbon nanotube composite. Between the stack of electrochemical cells are gas flow channels, which serve as an entryway for air or any other feed gas. The purpose of these electrochemical plates is that once they are charged with electricity, they capture the carbon dioxide molecules from the feed gas. And once this process is done, the CO2 has been captured and the electrodes have been saturated, the carbon dioxide-free feed gas, which in our case would be fresh air, is let out through the exit passage and released into the atmosphere. The fresh air here is represented by the blue particles, while the CO2 molecules are represented by the red particles. The next and final step would be to discharge the electrodes so that the carbon dioxide too is released. And for our artificial forest, the released carbon dioxide is stored and later used for conversion into oxygen and useful fuels using artificial photosynthesis. This method has some great advantages. First, it works in any atmosphere regardless of the substance's concentration in it. And this electrochemical device itself is very simple and is exclusive of any complex flow systems. It also does not entail the chemical processes that usually happen in between the carbon capture and release in other methods. This plan consists of two parts. First part consists of situating CO2 battery stations around the city and covering as many corners of the city as possible. These stations would also contain CO2 storage tanks for transportation. They should be concentrated mainly around factories and petrol stations, as these areas have the highest CO2 concentration, and it would be very beneficial for the environment to lower that concentration, and would also be beneficial for us as we would have high amounts of CO2 to use for the artificial photosynthesis. The final part consists of having underground pipes to transport the CO2 from around the city to the artificial forest for conversion